Human summoners can summon demons from hell and make them their servants. Until the human summoner is dead, the demon servant isn't allowed to return to hell. One day, such a human, Urine summoned an immortal snake demon from hell named Jashin. She is a demon called Orochimaru, which is half human and half snake. She is also immortal, so she can regenerate herself with no problem. On the other hand, she is also practically naked since her human torso is barely covered by her hair, and instead of her legs, she has a large reptile tail. After being summoned, Jashin at first refuses to believe that she has become a servant to another human. She also feels disgusted as she needs to live amongst other humans in the human world whom she once considered akin to ants. But despite her protests, she has no option but to live here on Earth until she can kill her summoner, Urine. One day, Jashin alongside some other girls such as Pecora, who is an angel that fell on Earth from the heavens and lost their halo, and now she can't return to heaven and is stuck on Earth for an indefinite amount of time just like Jashin. There is also Medusa, who is a very good friend of Jashin and is very close to her. Although she is from Greek mythology, she looks like an Egyptian pharaoh as she even dresses like them, especially Cleopatra. Aside from Medusa, there is also Minos, who is also a very good friend of Jashin. She is a minotaur with features that of the cows and bulls, but despite this, she likes eating meat, which makes her a cannibal. They all are at Urine's house to have a hot pot party as Urine gets some special meat from her relatives. The girls, who are usually very poor and only eat vegetables, are very excited to eat some juicy and tender meat. Jashin, with her skillful knowledge, carefully makes a perfect blend of sauce and adds water to it as she boils it to make the perfect soup for them to dump their vegetables and meat in it. While everyone is salivating by looking at the meat and smelling the delicious aroma of the hot pot, Pecora, on the other hand, is having an existential crisis as she is an angel who is currently having a hot pot party with demons and witches. At first, she tries to hold herself back from eating the meat, as she only eats the vegetables. But when she is about to move in and grab a piece of meat, Jashin stops her and reminds her that as an angel she shouldn't be here in the first place. This makes poor Pecora cry, as it was Jashin who invited her to the party. However, Jashin is a dumb airhead who forgets her own words and is forced to eat them later on. However, this time Jashin is hell-bent on not letting Pecora have any meat, so she keeps on bugging her, but this pisses off Urine as she warns Jashin to stop her acts and let everyone have a meal in peace. The other girls start to feel bad for Pecora, so they give her some of the meat too. Pecora gets happy as she takes a bite from the delicious piece of 5 Wagyu beef, which costs up to $100 per pound. Jashin starts to feel upset that they are wasting the meat by giving it to Pecora, so she gets angry and steals all of the meat in the hot pot and even from their bowls. This infuriates everyone, especially Urine, who stands up and is about to beat the living shit out of her when Jashin becomes enraged too and curses Urine for bringing her into this mortal world. So she also wants to kill her once and for all. Jashin jumps high and is about to dropkick Urine as she plans to end the whole show and episode, but Urine has other plans as she catches Jashin and puts her on the flat board as she starts to cut pieces off from her tail. Then she serves the same pieces to the girls, who surprisingly enjoy the taste of the snake tail. One day, Jashin hears the doorbell ring as she comes out and asks the person outside the password to enter the house before opening the door. The person outside is dumber than anime watchers and isn't able to guess the password, so Jashin gives them a hint that it rhymes with Hannibal. This awakens the switch inside that person's mind as they instantly answer cannibal. After entering the house, the masked person takes the cover from their face when it turns out to be Medusa. Medusa wears the mask because she is afraid that if she looked at normal people, they would turn into stone. Medusa is here to deliver an item to Jashin, who gets very excited after receiving it. Medusa tries to warn her, but she doesn't listen as she tears the packaging, thus revealing the item inside, which is none other than the greatest crime weapon of all time, a crowbar. Jashin assumes that this crowbar would help her to keep herself big as hell as she plans to slay Urine with it later. Urine comes home late when she finds Medusa and Jashin standing in front of her suspiciously. Jashin gives her a special crime movie which Urine likes a lot. She plans to catch her off guard while watching the movie and end her with one hit. However, she forgets that in the real world, there exists no such thing as an internal monologue as she accidentally spills all of her plan, causing Urine to catch her again, and this time she cuts her in half using a chainsaw, leaving a bloody scene behind. Medusa is watching this all happen from the sidelines as she contemplates whether the screen seems too red because of Jashin's blood or it's just the sun setting in front of them. To cope with her trauma of watching such a horrible thing, she chooses the latter option. Later, Urine finds that although Jashin has regenerated a lot of her lost body, she is still bleeding from her different wounds. But she doesn't care as she knows that she will come back to normal sooner or later. However, Jashin was just pretending to get censored by the censorship as the blood on her body was not her blood but ketchup. This gives her the time to catch Urine off guard and end her miserable life. It's Urine's birthday, so Jashin hosts a secret party for her as she invites all the girls. She also orders Medusa to buy an electric taser for her as it was her lucky item today according to what she saw on her horoscope. After a while, Medusa returns the item and gives it to Jashin, who is very excited. Soon Yurine knocks on the door as Jashin prepares to electroshock her with a taser, but it turns out to be an electric shaver instead. Medusa looks at Jashin apologetically as she knows that she will use it for wrong purposes. So that's why she didn't buy it for her. However, Yurine bought one for herself instead as stupid Jashin forgot that Yurine shares the same horoscope with her, so she got the same lucky item too. With the taser, Yurine keeps on tasing Jashin as she serves the girls cut off pieces of Jashin's tail. However, after Jashin apologizes for her misbehavior, Yurine stops with the tasering and instead, she shoves hot burning food inside her mouth, which makes poor Jashin suffer third-degree burns, causing her to wail in pain. One day, Jashin is cooling herself in front of a fan when she complains about the hot weather and humidity. She begs Yurine to buy an air conditioner for them, but she replies that it's too expensive for them. Jashin is disappointed and even more mad. She runs off outside to head to Akihabara and get it herself, but after stepping outside, the severe heat causes her body to get drier than your mom's, so she comes running back inside. She curses Japan's weather and keeps on complaining for a while. But after a while, she gets an idea and asks Yurine to summon a low-class ice devil for her. Yurine accepts her request and summons an ice devil named Kori. Kori is a sweet little girl whose aura causes the temperature in the room to drop by a few degrees. However, Jashin is one hell of a greedy woman, as she orders Kori to conjure some shaved ice for her. Yurine is astonished to see this and gets even more surprised when Kori uses her blood to make her shaved ice cream taste like strawberry. On the other hand, Jashin chooses the lemon flavor, which is the urine of the little ice devil. This is not enough for Jashin as she once again orders Kari, but this time she orders her to conjure snowflakes so they can enjoy snowfall in summer. Kori wants to deny it after being threatened by Jashin, so she releases her complete ice powers and freezes Jashin into ice. And after a flick from her finger, she breaks into pieces. Yurine smiles as she gets karma for her actions, and in the meantime, she gets what she wanted too, a solution to beating the heat. One day Pecora is dragging her lifeless body through the hot streets of Tokyo when her lord and savior Yurine saves her and takes her to a restaurant so she can eat some food that she hasn't eaten in the past week. Pecora wants to cry as no one has ever been so kind to her, but at the same time, she realizes that Yurine is a witch and one day she must face her. So out of kindness, she warns Yurine that once she gets her halo back, she will return for her head, but Yurine doesn't care and instead she wishes her good luck in finding her lost halo so she can return to her home. It's another normal day when Medusa and Minos visit Jashin's place. Upon entering the house, they are suddenly assaulted by Jashin, who jumps from below the floor. She laughs menacingly as she tells them about her plan to use this hiding spot to ambush Yurine later on. They both try to warn her, but she doesn't listen and gets even more haughty. After a while, after Medusa and Minos leave, Yurine comes home and finds Jashin nowhere. She doesn't care for her as she sits down and starts to do her work. She throws the trident on the ground, which she just bought, and it nearly stabs Jashin, who is hiding below. This makes Jashin even angrier as she prepares to smash Yurine into minced meat with her thorny club. Unfortunately for her, Yurine calls her, which makes her phone ring aloud, thus exposing her hidden location. Yurine lifts off the cover and finds the criminal hiding below with her trusty weapon and crime evidence right beside her. Yurine smirks as she informs Jashin that it's a good time for her to test her new weapon on her. Jashin begs for mercy, but Yurine is too cruel in her methods and makes skewers out of Jashin's body. One day, Medusa is walking through the busy streets of Akihabara while wearing her paper bag mask when suddenly a man stops her, and after listening to her cute voice, he forcefully removes her mask and turns it into a stone. Medusa had tried to warn him, but he was too rash and got his karma. Later at Yurine's place, Medusa is sitting together with Yurine as she asks Medusa about her connection with Jashin and also why she cares for her so much even after she talks so badly about her and even makes her suffer. Medusa innocently answers that it feels good when someone needs you, so maybe that's why she can't say no to Jashin ever. Also, whenever Jashin wants something, she always calls her, which makes her feel special. Yurine doesn't know how to fix this girl, so she just leaves her just the way she is. At that same moment, Jashin returns home too as she hands Medusa a teddy bear that she wanted so much. She explains that she was passing by the arcade games and saw it, so she decided to win it for her. Although the money that she used to play those games also belonged to Medusa. However, Medusa doesn't mind it as she likes the gift and thanks Jashin, which makes Jashin act like a tsundere as she tries to fight off her. Pecora is once again walking through the busy streets while her stomach growling out of hunger. She looks at everybody around preparing for Christmas, yet here she doesn't even have anything to eat but bread crusts and some milk to wash it down. She is sitting alone on the bench when she notices two kids telling each other their wishes for Christmas. One of them wants a one-night stand with their favorite air conditioner girl, while the other one wants the new anime figurine from the famous anime about underage girls doing cute dances. This grosses out Pecora as she prays to the god and wishes for this world to be purged of weebs and corn watchers. She continues to eat her bread crusts while drinking her milk to offset the dryness when she also wishes Santa for a flavorful dish like a spicy curry. She has just opened her eyes after wishing when she smells something delicious and finds Jashin sitting beside her eating fresh and hot curry with delicious white rice. Pecora's mouth starts to salivate as she wants to have a bite of that, but Jashin quickly finishes the first tray and moves on forward to the next one. She also laughs at Pecora as she makes fun of her for being so poor and miserable. However, Jashin still hasn't had enough, so she even steals Pecora's bread crusts and even spills her milk. Pecora is looking at the milk when Jashin notices that she has let her guard down, so she jumps up high into the sky and performs her special dropkick on her back. Poor Pecora falls to the ground as she unbearably watches Jashin eating her only source of food. Urine also comes to the scene and finds Jashin bullying Pecora, so she grabs her cheeks and tears them off. While Jashin is crying out of pain and spewing a shitload of blood, Urine comes up to Pecora and gives her the juicy chicken that she bought for Jashin at first. Pecora at first doesn't accept it as she is an angel and Urine is a witch. However, Urine gives it to her anyway, even if she throws it later on. After Urine and Jashin leave, Pecora takes a bite of the juicy chicken and is nearly brought to tears as she considers Urine as her own Santa Claus. One day, Jashin is training her abs with her rolling machine as she suddenly stands and looks at the shine on her steel-like abs. She gets haughty and challenges Urine to punch her in the stomach. Urine gets up and punches her so hard that she deflates like a balloon after being poked by the needle. While she is lying on the ground, someone knocks on the door. Urine opens the door and finds an unknown woman standing at the door. She introduces herself as Yusa, and hiding behind her back is Corey, who is excited to see Urine. She invites them in as she prepares some tea and cake for her. Smelling the delicious aroma in the air, Jashin wakes up and wriggles her way to the table. She is about to take a bite of the cake, but Urine takes it from her and gives it to Corey. Jashin is upset as she starts to bully Corey, but Yusa isn't having it as Corey is her younger sister, and apparently the Ice Devils are low class, but as they age and grow older they rank up to become high class devils. And now one of those high class devils is looking forward to making shaved ice cream of Jashin, which makes her almost soil her pants. Jashin backs off, but after a while, she once again starts to bully Corey, which causes Yusa to lose her temper as she starts to show off her power in front of Jashin. Jashin gets afraid and starts to think of an opportunity when she suddenly asks Corey to look back. As a curious child, Corey starts to look behind her, which causes Jashin to smirk as she jumps up high in the air and is about to dropkick little Corey, but Yusa freezes her before she can even touch Corey. Afterward, she makes shaved ice cream from Jashin's frozen body and serves it to the dog outside. Later, Medusa visits Jashin's home and she gives her the weekly stipend. Urine warns Medusa that if she keeps on giving Jashin money like this, she will become a scumbag who will rot in their mother's basement and stay jobless and virgin their whole life. Medusa starts to get worried about Jashin, which offends her as she starts to talk badly about her. This makes Medusa cry as she leaves the house after saying that she hates her now. Jashin calls her stupid and doesn't care, but after a while, she starts to panic as she has just lost her precious ATM now. Urine wants to punch her in the face, but she holds back. Later, Jashin keeps on thinking about Medusa as she heads to the bar and drinks all the strawberry juice there till she is full and out of money. She is crying sitting outside the bar when people pass by her and look at her with weird gazes. Jashin gets upset and starts to hold them back as she asks to be loved, but they call her a creep, tell her that she smells like a fish, and even ask her to take a bath. Just when Jashin is about to give up on her life, Medusa calls her from behind. Jashin turns and finds Medusa standing beside her. She can't believe that Medusa is back. She starts crying and hugs her as if she is a koala hugging a tree. All the people around them congratulate them as the ATM and its users are back together. Urine watches all of this happen from the sideline and doesn't know what to say. One day, Jashin is out there in the arcade centers of the legendary city of Akihabara as she tries her luck playing gacha games. She wins all of the figurines except one, which is the rarest out of all of them. Just when she is about to try once again, she realizes that the only money she has left is for her to buy groceries for today's lunch. She also remembers the deadly reminder from Urine that if she spent that money on useless things, she would grind her in the woodchopper machine. As she is contemplating between life and death, a young boy asks her to move her fat ass away from the machine so he can try his luck. Jashin steps aside obediently and is about to head home when she hears the ecstatic cry of the young boy who just won the SSR figurine that she wanted. Jashin plans to dispose of the kid and take the figurine from him, but stops as she thinks to herself that she is a high-level devil and that she doesn't need to rely on violence to always solve things. She cooks up a devious plan in her mind as she goes up to the kid and asks in her cute voice if she can check the figurine in her hand. The kid is gullible and gives it to her. Jashin thanks him as she puts the figurine in her mouth and then spits it out. The kid is extremely disgusted by her behavior, gives her an uppercut and leaves the arcade in anger. He doesn't even bother to take back the figurine as it has been sullied by Jashin's spit. Jashin is already a masochist, but even she felt the shame of being punched by a kid and decided to store this figure later as it would always remind her of the shame. Later, after buying the groceries, she is about to head home when she is stopped by a police officer who arrests her under the name of theft. After a while, Yurine receives a phone call from the police station as she learns of Jashin's crime and comes running to the police station. After waiting for a while, Jashin comes into the room where she proceeds to get beaten by Yurine, who also gives her an uppercut, making it twice the amount of trauma and shame. Jashin is about to confess her crime of stealing the kid's figurine, but the police officer comes in and informs Yurine that Jashin stole something. Yurine asks her what she stole when suddenly the police officer gets shy and blushes as she confesses that Jashin stole her heart. Yurine nearly trips and falls as she looks at the police officer and then Jashin, who also seems to be confused. The police officer is completely unhinged as she starts to molest Jashin in front of Yurine and force her to take pictures with her. Jashin calls out for help, but Yurine doesn't listen. The police officer requests Yurine to give Jashin to her, but Yurine rejects as if she gives Jashin to her, she would lose her servant who can clean and cook for her. The police officer is disappointed, but soon she regains her energy as she pulls out her sword and wants to challenge Yurine, but ends up slashing Jashin's tail with it, which makes poor Jashin suffer even more. Jashin wants to quit and run away, but her wailing pleases the police officer even more as she finds her cries to be extremely pleasurable. This goes on for a while, but just when Jashin is about to give up, the announcement bell for the first shift's end rings as the police officer runs off. There is only one thing she hates the most, and that is working overtime. Later, Jashin begs Yurine to end herself as it would free her from this human realm, but Yurine doesn't want to do it as she likes her life a lot. Jashin gets upset that she doesn't want to end herself even when she asks her so politely. She also complains about her rude behavior and turns on the television to watch some shows. She is watching a documentary on the mountains when she realizes that the mountains seem to be a nice place to plot some murders. She gets excited as she starts to cook off various plots in her mind, such as pushing Yurine off the cliff with her signature dropkick and pushing her in front of a bear who would eat her alive. The crazier the ideas, the crazier her smile. However, she instantly hides her smile when notices that Yurine is out of the bathroom and asks her if she's free tomorrow. Yurine nods as she doesn't have anything to do tomorrow when Jashin suddenly asks her to go on a hiking trip with her. Yurine immediately declines, which leaves the poor Jashin on the floor alongside her devious plans. One day, Medusa is on her way to Jashin's house when she receives a call from her as she asks her to bring some cake with her. Medusa is happy that Jashin called her as she immediately heads to the bakery and brings some cakes with her, which would go well with tea. After a while, she knocks on Jashin's door and heads inside. However, the inside feels eerie as a cold wind blows through the room, giving off the vibes of death. Medusa holds her breath as she walks inside and is shocked to find a petrified Jashin standing in front of her with her head rolling on the ground. She gets terrified and starts to cry as Jashin is her best friend. Just the door of the closet opens as a laughing Jashin emerges from it. She laughs hard at Medusa for falling for her prank and explains that the statue in front of her is just her shed skin, which she sheds every 1,000 years. Medusa doesn't find it funny and gets mad at her and prepares to leave. Jashin gets a flashback of the last time when Medusa got angry at her, so she immediately stops her and tries to talk her way through this predicament. However, Medusa is dead serious this time and leaves for real. Jashin is left inside all alone as she starts to cry and beg Medusa to come back. After a while, Medusa comes inside with a smile on her face as she informs Jashin to look at the camera and that she just got pranked. Jashin cries even more, hugs Medusa, and asks her to not do this anymore as she can't bear to see her precious ATM go away from her. Later, Yurine arrives home and finds both Medusa and Jashin acting all lovey-dovey while feeding each other. One day, Yurine and Jashin are out buying some books. Afterwards, they both head to a nice restaurant for a meal where they both order their favorite dishes. While they are eating their meals, Jashin starts to crave the juicy chicken on Yurine's plate and asks her if she can have a bite. However, Yurine is a strict no-food sharing person, so obviously she rejects her without any hesitation. Jashin wants to cry as she is still hungry and wants more. After eating their food, they are about to leave when suddenly Yurine orders a takeaway for Pecora, who is still homeless and suffering from starvation. After buying the takeaway for her, they both head to the park where homeless people are staying in their cardboard houses. Yurine knocks on the box and a middle-aged man opens the window and looks at their faces with fear. He fears that they may kick him out of the park as there has recently been a hate speech going on against homeless people. Fortunately for him, Yurine and Jashin are not here to deliver radioactive honey buns to him. Instead, they are just looking for Pecora. The man tells them that she's in the other box. After knocking on the second box, Pecora comes out and greets them. Yurine hands her the lunchbox and is about to leave, but Pecora stops them and asks her to take the food back and that she won't accept anything from a witch with a demon pet. Yurine isn't offended and just leaves the food outside and leaves. Pecora sits inside her little box as she contemplates whether to eat the food outside or not. In the end, she is not able to resist the smell and given to her instincts. She crawls outside the box and finds something that truly breaks her spirit. A wild Jashin is eating the meal box left by Yurine for her. Jashin notices her fierce gaze and defends herself by saying that she only ate it because she thought Pecora wouldn't eat it and she didn't want to waste the food. While enjoying the last bite, she even does food commentary, making Pecora even more angry. After eating the food, she hands Pecora the leftover boxes and leaves towards her home. Pecora sighs as she considers this as a test from God. Later, Yurine finds out that Jashin stole Pecora's food, so as a punishment she makes mincemeat out of her flesh and feeds it to the dogs. Afterwards, she buys a new box of food and delivers it to Pecora, who considers Yurine her angel. One day, Jashin is walking home when she notices the weird police officer from the other day. Jashin's PTSD is triggered as she carefully avoids her gaze and walks away. However, Medusa notices her walking suspiciously and calls out her name loudly, which causes the weird police officer to notice her as she chases after Jashin. Jashin takes Medusa and runs away to avoid the tragedy, but she is still captured by her and forced to take some pictures with her. On the other side, poor Pecora is suffering too as she finds a shady job that pays her half of the minimum wage of an average citizen. The only benefit of this job is that it doesn't need a background check. After completing her shift, Pecora is on her way back home as she counts her salary and the things she can buy with this measly amount of money. After returning to her shelter box, she finds that it has been destroyed by Jashin, who has vomited all over it and fell in the vomit unconsciously. Pecora wants to cry, but no tears come out of her eyes, so she can only laugh at her misery as she curses her existence for even being born in this world. One day, Yurine asks Jashin to make some food for her, so she decides to cook her special curry for her. Yurine compliments her curry, so the next day, Jashin makes the same curry. Yurine doesn't mind having curry twice in 2 days, so she still compliments her food. Jashin gets even more excited and makes curry for the third day too. This time, Yurine has enough of her curry, so she decides to put mayonnaise on top of the curry to make it taste different. Jashin can't bear this slander, but after eating it, she finds that it's surprisingly not that bad. So she decides to cook curry for the 4th day too. While she is making the curry, she suddenly teleports to hell. It turns out that the song she was singing while making the curry and the motion of the stirring resulted in creating a magic circle that teleported her back to hell. Curiously, she heads towards her place in hell when she finds her younger self alongside Medusa and Minos playing all together. She realizes that she has teleported to the past. The girls notice her too and ask if she is related to Jashin, as she looks the same as her. But Jashin tells them the truth, that she is from the future. The girls get excited and even ask her questions about themselves in the future. She tells them one by one as to how they would look in the future and things related to them. While she is talking to the girls, she starts to think about a way to go back to her time when suddenly the young Jashin tells her that she knows a way. They create a magic circle and place Jashin in the middle as they dance around her. After a while, the magic circle works as Jashin is transported to the original timeline. However, she is transported right to the top of the dining table, which splashes the curry on Yurine's clothes, which makes her angry. So to appease her anger, Yurine uses the new toys she ordered from Amazon to test them on the poor Jashin. Let's not go into the details, as it was one hell of a bloody night. One day, Jashin and Yurine are going somewhere when they both complain about the hot weather. Even though it's past August, the heat has yet to dissipate as the sun tortures them with its flames. On their way, she hears some people talking about delicious shaved ice, so they run to that place and find Corey and Yusa making shaved ice at a stall. Jashin is amazed that you can make money just by selling shaved ice, so she opens up a stall nearby and starts to sell shaved ice at double the price. Although it's a stupid mistake according to basic economics, her luck is through the roof as people line up to buy her shaved ice. However, the speed of her work is too slow, so people leave her stall and instead line up Corey's and Yusa's stall. Jashin isn't willing to give up, so she runs to Mount Fuji to get the best ice in all of Japan and takes it back as she makes shaved ice out of it with her automatic machine, which she bought from Medusa's money. However, soon 2 people come up to her and they ask for her permit to open a stall in this location. Jashin looks towards their faces as she looks towards Corey's and uses stalls as they both flex their stall permits in front of her. The 2 people take her away for illegally operating a stall, and they even think of fulfilling their fetishes of doing it with a half-viper woman. One day, Pecora is returning home after filling some water bottles when suddenly an angel lands behind her who used to be her apprentice before. Pecora is excited as she can finally go home now, but the angel actually attacks her and is here to end her miserable life, because if Pecora returns to heaven, the new angel, Paparan, would lose her title, as her title is merely that of a temporary angel until Pecora can return. Pecora tries her best to defend herself, but without her angel title, she isn't able to use her powers. Fortunately, at that same time, Jashin comes up to deliver the leftover curry to Pecora on behalf of Yurine, which causes her to intervene in the fight. Paparan isn't happy as a devil is trying to stop her, so she slaps away the curry in her hand, which falls onto the ground. This makes Jashin extremely angry, as this was a curry that she made with her own hands and now someone has destroyed it, which is even more infuriating. She beats the living shit out of Paparan till she isn't able to move, and then she drops her into the sea from a high cliff in Norway. She returns and asks Pecora to come with them and join them in the dinner, as Yurine won't believe what happened now. Pecora is hesitant, but Jashin just saved her life, so she goes back with her and she thanks her in her heart. Jashin is coming home after buying groceries when she is suddenly slammed by a spiked metal club, which causes her to go flat on the ground. Even the items in her hands get destroyed after falling on the ground, which terrifies her, as Yurine will punish her for it. She notices the person who just attacked her, and it's none other than Paparan from a while ago. However, Jashin doesn't remember her, as she was in too much rage last time. This makes Paparan even more angry, as she can't believe that Jashin doesn't even remember her. In a rage, she once again slams her club at her, but Jashin catches it with her hand. However, it takes her a few seconds to realize that the club was spiked, which pierces her hand, so she quickly backs away and asks Paparan to make peace. However, Paparan gets even more haughty and is about to attack her again, as she calls Jashin a lowly demon. But Jashin isn't that easy to go down, so she grabs her angel halo and eats it in one go. Paparan is shocked and can't comprehend that this could even happen to her. After losing her halo, Paparan can't use her angel skills, so she runs away in defeat. Later, Minos is at Jashin's house as she talks about various things. One such thing is that Medusa got a new friend, which makes Jashin feel betrayed, as she gets furious at Medusa for having another friend beside her. She doesn't want to share her ATM with another person, so she calls Medusa home and decides to confront her by herself. Medusa comes home and finds an angry Jashin staring at her. Jashin is so angry that she doesn't even give her a chance to explain and starts to call her by different slurs and even calls her a bitch, which makes poor Medusa sad as she starts to cry. Jashin doesn't feel bad as she keeps on roasting her when suddenly Medusa speaks up and tells her the truth. She tells her that she is working an extra job so she can help Jashin even more. Last time Jashin spent all of her allowance on gacha, and in the end, when she ran out of money, she started to beg Medusa to give her more, but at that time Medusa didn't have any money, so she wanted to work another job to better support Jashin. But she didn't want this fact to be known by anyone, so she hid it under the mask of getting another friend. Saying this, she leaves and swears to never come back. Even Yurine is disappointed in her and doesn't even want to punish her for this act. At night, Jashin is hit by the sudden loneliness and anxiety as she starts to cry and puke all over her bedsheets. Yurine hears her crying but doesn't console her and just asks her to clean herself. She also feels pity for this stupid devil who always brings misery upon herself. The following day, Medusa is at a restaurant eating some food when Minos comes in and gives her a letter from Jashin. Medusa reads the letter, in which Jashin writes that she is extremely apologetic for her behavior yesterday, and so that's why she wants to make up for it by spending the whole day with her starting from 1 p.m. Medusa starts to cry while reading this letter and forgives Jashin for her behavior. She also starts to feel happy as she can finally show Jashin something that she just bought. Meanwhile, at home, Jashin is sitting together with Yurine in front of a low-level messaging devil who is here to tell Jashin about her promotion as she eats an angel halo. He also grants her a gift from Satan himself, which is a mysterious potion. After delivering the message, the low-level demon self-destructs, thus completing his only goal in life. Jashin isn't sad for him, as he would reincarnate into hell again, but this time as a high-level demon. After telling useless information to the viewers, she drinks the potion, which smells and tastes horrible. At first, she didn't feel anything, but just when she was about to walk, she tripped and fell. She notices that she has grown human legs and gets excited. Yurine asks her to cover herself with some clothes, as drawing her legs would cause the animators to spend even more budget. Later, Medusa and Jashin meet at their designated location on their time. Medusa is surprised to see Jashin with legs and wearing such cute clothes. Meanwhile, Jashin is also surprised to see Medusa without a paper bag, as she informs her that she bought contact lenses that hide her petrification ability. With this, she can travel like a normal person. Both of them are excited for their little date as they head to a clothing store to buy some cute clothes for Medusa too. After wearing such cute clothes, they both look even cuter together, as their cuteness alone raises up all the people around them. They both head to various locations as they try out their different things and stuff, etc. After spending almost the whole day, they are walking together like a cute lesbian couple when suddenly Medusa freezes as her legs petrify from the side effects of wearing the contact lenses. Jashin quickly removes her contact lenses as the petrification starts to heal. Jashin makes a paper bag for Medusa and gives it to her. She even carries her on her back as she can't walk with her petrified legs. After returning home, Yurine is surprised to see Jashin being so kind to other people, but she is mistaken when after a while, Jashin tries to dropkick her using her new legs but suddenly returns to her snake shape mid-air. She falls but is happy that she is back to normal as having the snake bottom is the best feeling. However, Yurine isn't so happy that she just tried to dropkick her, so she makes some grilled snake steaks for everyone. One day, Jashin is on her way to buy some groceries when she passes by the casino and decides to try her luck. In the end, she ends up spending all of her money and wins nothing. She is hesitant about going home as she knows that Yurine will kill her, so she just stands there contemplating the truth of the universe. Fortunately for her, her Lord and Savior Medusa appears out of nowhere. Looking at this walking ATM, Jashin excitedly asks her for some money. Medusa, being Medusa, gives her the money, which she ends up spending in the casino and losing everything. Later, she returns home where Yurine prepares her weapons to finish her once and for all, but Medusa stops her as she begs Yurine that Jashin is a good girl at heart. Medusa tries to tell Medusa that her unconditional love for Jashin is ruining her even more. After beating Jashin for a while, she stops and asks her to give back the money she loaned from Medusa. However, Jashin is broke and she doesn't even have a job, so there is no way that she can pay her back. Medusa forgives her too as she trusts Jashin would return the money someday. Yurine doesn't know what to do with these two stupid creatures, so she takes out some money from her pocket and hands it to Jashin as she asks her to go and buy some things for her. Jashin promises that this time she won't spend the money on the casino and instead honestly buys the groceries with it. Later, Jashin buys the groceries and returns back, but she is extremely hungry, so on her way back, she ends up stealing the breadcrumbs from Pecora, who wants to cry but has run out of tears. She is sitting all alone without any hope when Paparan comes up to her to sprinkle some salt onto her wounds. However, Pecora notices that her halo is gone and asks for the story behind it. Paparan tells her that she lost her halo because Jashin ate it. Pecora is shocked and doesn't know that the halo could be eaten and wonders how it tastes. But she is more worried about Paparan and asks her what would she do now when she can't return to heaven. Paparan asks Pecora if she is stupid because the angels can regrow their halo after some time. Pecora is shocked because she never knew this. Paparan calls her stupid as she prepares to leave, but Pecora stops her and asks her if she is willing to team up with her and work together to survive in this cruel world. However, Paparan doesn't care about her as she gets haughty and tells her that she will survive on her own because unlike Pecora, she has both beauty and brain. Pecora is left alone and starts to wonder if life is even worth living. Later, she is dragging her lifeless body through the busy streets of Tokyo when she notices a coin stuck between the vending machines, so she uses her raccoon-like fingers to take it out. After taking out the coin, she finds that it's a fake coin and curses her luck. Just then she hears a person talking about a high-paying job of serving as a waiter in a restaurant. Pecora wants to warn Paparan that such jobs can't be granted without a proper background check. So as a fellow angel, she wants to save her. But when she arrives outside the restaurant, she finds that Pecora has already started working and is having no problems adjusting to it. She notices that this world is biased towards beautiful people as she looks at herself. One day, Jashin and the others are celebrating a festival in which people ward off devils for good luck and eat lots of nuts. Yurine is interested to find that this festival also exists in hell as Jashin and Minos tell her about the competition of eating the most nuts. The numbers are in thousands, which is a lot, but compared to the nuts your mom has eaten in her life, it's still a bit lacking. Soon, an Oni devil appears at the door as Jashin starts to ward him off by throwing beans at him. However, Yurine stops her as she finds the little Oni devil too cute. Instead of warding off the Oni, Yurine wards off Jashin to bless this house. Later, Pecora is sitting all alone suffering from hunger when suddenly Jashin comes up to her and starts throwing nuts at her. Pecora is extremely hungry. She picks up the nuts from the ground and starts to eat them. Jashin notices this, thus out of pity she gives her the whole bag. And aside from the nuts, she also gives her the giant roll of sushi, thus completing her mission from Yurine. Pecora is also very happy as she can finally eat some decent food after a long time. One day, Yurine calls out Jashin and shows her the bill for spending 100,000 yen on Medusa's credit card. She got addicted to a new gacha game called Genshin Impact and decided to spend all the money in it to pull out cute femboys like Venti. Although Yurine wants her to compliment her for having good taste, she can't forgive her for wasting so much money. She also asks Medusa to get another credit card and block this one, so Jashin can never use it again. Aside from that, it's time for her to punish Jashin as she pulls out a switch from the top, which drops Jashin into a hole below. When she wakes up, she finds herself back in time to when she was going to the casino and wonders if it's a chance from hell for her to win again. But she ends up losing, which resets the timeline as she is continuously stuck in a loop. Jashin continues to be stuck in the loop until she is finally able to resist her urge to spend the money in the casino and return home without gambling. Later, she asks Medusa to go with her to the bank when Medusa starts to cry and asks her to not rob a bank as it's not worth it. Jashin calls her stupid as she informs her that they are just going to withdraw the money from their account. However, at the bank, they are involved in a robbery where they are all held at point-blank range. Jashin asks the robbers to shoot Medusa instead of her, but hearing her nonsense is triggering the robbers as they warn to shoot both of them. Medusa notices the people around her covering in fear, so she stands up and takes the matter into her own hands. She goes up to the robbers and lifts her paper bag, which causes the robbers to look into her eyes as they turn into stone. Everyone thanks Medusa for saving them, so she gets shy and starts to blush. Jashin, being the scumbag she is, starts to take the credit for this achievement and calls herself a partner of Medusa. Soon the police arrive on the site as they take away the stone statues of the robbers and portray Medusa as a hero. The weird police officer is also here as she takes Jashin with her and forces her to take pictures for her Instagram. She also arrests Jashin again for no reason, which makes the poor Jashin wonder if she is an African-American citizen. One day, Minos wakes up and starts her daily training. She trains for a while and after that heads on to deliver milk so no parent can go outside to get milk and disappear forever. After delivering the milk and being proud of her speed record, she heads to her next job, which is at the construction site. After doing hard labor all day, she is not even slightly tired and even helps Pecora by taking her share of work too. Later, Pecora wants to thank her, but before she can say anything, she runs off by herself. So Pecora promises to herself that she will thank her one day for sure. One day, Jashin and Yurine are going home when she suddenly stops by a ramen shop and starts to crave it. However, Jashin isn't in the mood for ramen, but Yurine still forces her to eat with her. However, after entering the shop, Jashin notices that the waitress is none other than Paparan, who wanted to kill her last time, so she gets angry and is about to beat her, but the NPCs at the store get angry and correct Jashin that Paparan is not Paparan but Noel. Jashin gets confused and starts to wonder if she is Paparan or not, so in the end she just lets it go and sits with Yurine to eat her ramen. However, suddenly she thinks of an idea and calls out Paparan by her name to see how would she react. And to her surprise, she indeed reacts to this name, which exposes her cover. Jashin jumps up and grabs her, but Yurine stops her and bends her fingers so she won't touch Paparan anymore. And after finishing her ramen, she stands and takes Jashin back with her. But before she leaves, she talks to Paparan one last time about Pecora and leaves. Paparan stands there dazed after seeing a normal human enslaving a devil like Jashin. One day, Jashin is alone at home when she suddenly gets the urge to eat pudding. She opens up the fridge and ends up eating the pudding left by Yurine. However, it's too late by the time she realizes this, as Yurine is already home. She finds her pudding wrap all empty and looks at Jashin. Instead of apologizing, blames it on an invisible spirit as she goes into full Fight Club mode and starts to fight with an invisible being. Yurine isn't buying her stupid bullshit, so she tests her new weapon on her, which is none other than the Iron Mate. That night, the whole town heard Jashin scream as they shriveled in fear of hell. One day, Pecora is back from work after receiving her salary, and for once in her lifetime she finally has enough money to rent a place. Just when she is dreaming about living in her new house, she trips as the money falls from her envelope and lands straight into a charity box. Pecora wants to ask the girls to get back her money, but instead, they thank her for donating money to them as it would help children in need. Later, Pecora copes up thinking that even if she doesn't get a house, her money will help children in need. Fortunately, she put a 2,000 yen note in her pants so at least she could treat herself to a nice meal. She heads to her favorite place where she finds Jashin sitting right beside her eating her food. Pecora orders the food when she hears some people talking about a scam run by two girls in the name of charity. Pecora realizes that these are the same two girls to whom she donated money in the morning. Her pain is already insufferable when suddenly Jashin chips in by saying that only fools would fall for scams like this. Pecora wants to cry, so she runs off, leaving the 2,000 yen note behind alongside her favorite dish on the table. Jashin sees this and digs right in without any hesitation. Later, Pecora is sitting all alone in her shelter box, looking through ads for high-paying jobs when she finds a bodyguard job that pays 30,000 yen in a single day. She gets excited as it's a gender-neutral job, so she accepts it without any hesitation and runs off to apply for it. Miraculously, she can land the job as she finds that her job is to protect an idol. And that idol is none other than Paparan herself, who is under the alias of Noel. Paparan first signs off posters at the handshake event, after which her real performance starts, which is a major hit. Pecora is standing cautious of any potential attack when suddenly she finds a person landing on stage with a hammer in his hand. He is a creepy fan who only wants the idol to be with them and not of any other fan, so he is here to get his revenge on Papa. Fortunately, Pecora jumps in to save her and pushes the crazy fan back. She gets injured in the process, but when she wakes, she finds herself in a hospital room, and beside her are Jashin and Yurine, who leave after finding that she is alright. They also inform Pecora that her hospital bill is paid off and that she doesn't need to worry about it. Paparan was amazed by her bravery, so she decided to pay her off by paying off her hospital bills. Time passes by as it's already Valentine's Day, and Medusa asks Jashin to teach her to make chocolates for Valentine's Day. Jashin thinks that Medusa has finally found herself a partner and starts to feel bad. However, in the end, it turns out that Medusa wants to make chocolates for her, which makes Jashin very happy as they both start to act lovey-dovey with each other. One day, Yurine and Jashin are fighting as usual when Jashin finds that Yurine seems to be lacking today, but she doesn't care and stops paying attention. But this realization hits her again when they are eating, but Yurine stops midway and tells Jashin that she is full, but Jashin knows that Yurine would never leave leftovers. After giving up on food, Yurine lays down when she suddenly starts to cough. Jashin gets worried if she is sick, so she instantly grabs a thermometer and checks her temperature, which is very high even for humans. She starts to panic as she puts a blanket over her and puts cold cooling pads on top of her forehead to relieve some of the fever. However, this isn't enough as she starts to wonder how she should take her to the hospital. Suddenly she stops as she thinks to herself that if Yurine dies out of illness, she will be free from this world and return to her world. Realizing this, she gets happy and leaves Yurine all alone and heads out to enjoy her last day here on Earth. However, after a while, she starts to feel guilty, so she runs back and asks Medusa and Minos for help as they all take her to the hospital and buy her medicine. After a while, Yurine recovers a bit as she wakes up and thanks Jashin for taking care of her. Jashin pouts like a tsundere and corrects her that she did it only for Medusa and Minos, as they would feel sad if she died all of a sudden. Time flies by as it's already spring, so to celebrate the arrival of spring, the group heads to the park below the cherry blossoms to spend a picnic. Even Pecora joins them as they all eat and drink while enjoying the beauty of the cherry blossoms. Just then the weird police officer notices Jashin sitting among them, so she comes to take pictures with her as she tries to arrest her once again for stealing her heart. Fortunately, she gets drunk soon and starts to wail about her misery, so Medusa takes her away and spends the whole day listening to her wails while everyone else enjoys their picnic. Later, Jashin and Yurine are going somewhere when Jashin realizes that she hasn't done any mischievous acts for a while. So to fill off her daily mischievous intake, she gets beaten up by Yurine for it. After walking for a while, Yurine notices a kid who has just lost his balloon and it's stuck in a tree. So she asks Jashin to redeem herself by getting the balloon for the kid. She accepts the task, and just when she climbs the tree and grabs the balloon, she notices that balloon is taking her to the sky, and after some time she is in the other galaxy, far away from the world amongst the aliens. How can an anime truly end without a beach episode? So to complete the masterpiece, all the characters head to the beach while wearing their swimsuits. Pecora is also there with them. However, she doesn't want to come at first because she doesn't have a swimsuit, so she ends up borrowing one from her friend in the human world. However, she is too shy to show it to other people, as her friend's name is written on it. Pecora tries to hide it, but the name is still read by other people who call her by her friend's name, which makes her want to cry. However, she has to bear it as if she left now. She won't be able to eat tasty barbecue at the end of the beach episode. While everyone else is exercising before heading into the water, Jashin is too arrogant and directly jumps into the sea. And the consequences are following when she almost drowns due to a leg cramp and barely makes it to the shore. So remember kids, before you start to swim in deep water, always remember to exercise so you can warm up your body. Later, Jashin notices that the Ice Devil sisters are selling shaved ice at the beach, so she asks them for one. As she is enjoying her shaved ice, Pecora comes towards her as she stares at Jashin eating her shaved ice. She wants it too, but she is too poor and Jashin knows this too, so she asks her to act like a dog. Pecora is too desperate, so she follows her instructions, but Yurine finds this rude, so she punches Jashin in the guts with her umbrella and warns her to not bully Pecora again. After buying Pecora a shaved ice, Yurine enjoys the shade as Jashin holds the umbrella over her head. After a while, Jashin gets enough of it, so she runs off to swim again, but her stupid ass gets captured by a kraken monster in the sea. Fortunately for her, the girls use their powers to defeat the kraken and save Jashin, although only half of her. Jashin is extremely angry that everything bad happens to her, and she blames it on Yurine, who summoned her to this human world in the first place. She suddenly feels a power rising through her body as she transforms and even gets a new armored form. With this, she challenges Yurine, who also unseals her power hidden in the right eye, and defeats Jashin fair and square. After that, everyone grills the barbecue that they made out of the kraken and savors it while